Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Pijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Pijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming and taking your time to listen to this specific verse on the Bhagavatam and actually listening to the Bhagavatam itself and giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. We will be reading today from Canto 4, Chapter 17, Text 12 and 13. The title of the canto is, or the chapter is Maharaj Prithu becomes angry at the earth. So, Maitreya Vacha Prithu Prajanam Karunam Nisamya Paridevitam Dirgam Dadyav Kuru Shrestha Nimittam So Anvapadayata Maitreya Vacha Prithu Prajanam Karunam Nisamya Paridevitam Dirgam Dadyav Kuru Shrestha Nimittam Sonvatpatyata Maitreya Vacha Prithu Prajanam Karunam Nisamya Paridevitam Dirgam Dadyav Kuru Shrestha Nimittam Sonvatmapadyata. Maitreya Vacha Pritu prajanam karunam nisamya paridevitam dirgam dadyo kurushreshta nimittam sonvapadyata. Maitreya uvacha Pritu prajanam karunam nisamya paridevitam dirgam dadyo kurushreshta nimittam sonvapadyata. Maitreya uvacha Pritu prajanam karunam nisamya paridevitam dirgam dadyav kurushreshta nimittam sonvapadyata. Maitreya uvacha, the great saint Maitreya said, Prithu, King Prithu, Prajanam, of the citizens, Karunam, pitiable conditions, Nishamya, hearing, Paridevitam, lamentation, Dirgam, for a long time, Dadyav, contemplated, Kurushreshta, O Vidura, Nimittam, the cause, Sa, her, he, Anpadyata, found out. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. After hearing this lamentation and seeing the pitiable condition of the citizens, King Prithu contemplated this matter for a long time to see if he could find out the underlying causes. Text 13, I will chant that. Iti vasito buddhya pragrahita sarasanaha sandade vishikham bhume kriddas tripuraha yatha. Iti, thus, Vyavasita, having arrived at the conclusion, Buddhya, by intelligence, Pragrahita, having taken up, Sharasana, the bow, Sundade, fixed, Vishikham, an arrow, Bhume, at the earth, Kruddha, angry, Tripuraha, Lord Shiva, Yatha, like. Translation. Having arrived at a conclusion, the king took up his bow and arrow and aimed them at the earth exactly like Lord Shiva, who destroys the whole world out of anger. Purport. It's a big Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. King Prithu found out the cause for the scarcity of food grains. He could understand that it was not the people's faith, for they were not lazy in executing their duties. Rather, the earth was not producing sufficient food grains. This indicates that the earth can produce sufficiently if everything is properly arranged. But sometimes the earth can refuse to produce food grains for various reasons. The theory that there is a scarcity of food grains due to an increase of population is not a very sound theory. There are other causes that enable the earth to produce profusely or to stop producing. King Prithu found out the proper causes and took the necessary steps immediately. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadatikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Patakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Shagrayatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lita Raghunatam Samsachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare. So I think we have been speaking about this chapter for a couple of weeks now. It begins with Prithu Maharaj and the citizens coming in front of him, and also lamenting about the fact that they don't have food to eat, they're hungry, and it's again comes down to how Prithu Maharaj reacts to this particular aspect which was raised by the citizens, and how he responds to them and goes to Mother Earth, because he finds that it is not the citizens who are the cause of non-availability of grains or they being hungry. It's not that they are lazy or they are not trying hard enough, but it is to do with Mother Earth, who is holding back these grains, and therefore, in a fit of anger, he goes to Lord Mother Earth, and actually, in a fit of anger, he raises his bow and arrow in the same mood as like Lord Shiva did, when who destroys the whole world out of anger. So this is what we need to basically we will be talking about today. These two aspects of the very fact that which has been yesterday also Damodar Priya Mataji was speaking about the earlier verses, which basically this follows those verses, and to understand why and Prithu became angry with Mother Earth, and how he empathized with the citizens here. So what I would like to do here is that try to kind of bring a perspective wherein we will first sum up and understand the consequences of whatever happened, then try to see if how our various acharyas have also commented on it, and then see how the verses in the Bhagavad Gita can be connected here to these two verses in such a way, and then see if there are certain portions of Chaitanya Charitamrita which can, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he has brought in, or how we can connect that aspect, and then finally, see if there are certain aspects like commentaries by or statements from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Swami Maharaj and Prabhupada too about these two specific verses and how we can connect with them. So let me begin. So he basically, Prithu Maharaj, what he discerned that though I was made king, he said that I will use the fourth method, which is the method of punishment against the earth who is hiding the seeds. Bhume means, like here we have seen, Bhume is basically at the earth. So if you compare with the modern world that we have today, the king was very much approachable even for the common citizens. Now when the king comes, common citizens cannot approach him. That if you see today, they are all protected by a high level of security and all, at least in India. I don't know about Germany, but at least now with whatever is happening in Germany, again, they become very protected because they're scared of that they will be attacked or whatever. So whereas in those times, somebody like the king, he himself was very approachable by the common citizens. The king needs to be protected. Previously, king will come to protect the people. Today, we are there to protect the king. So Prithu Maharaj, as soon as he is enthroned, he is trying to eradicate hunger. As soon as he became, enthroned by the Brahmanas, who basically, after having killed King Vana, who was terrorizing the earth, they enthroned King Prithu. So they were doing all the things that were required, and so as soon as the first thing that Prithu did is he's trying to eradicate the hunger of the people. But now the government, if you see in today's world, the government, after looting the country for the whole tenure, when the term is going to get over, then what they do is they pass the food bill to the citizens, and by raising taxes or whatever that is needed to be done. Whereas Prithu did the complete opposite. Prithu Maharaj became angry after contemplating for a long time and after understanding the cause of the problem. It was not an anger out of sudden impulse that Prithu Maharaj became angry. Prithu Maharaj, he is a thoughtful king. He needs to be trained in the Shastras along with having muscle power. So this is, the first para when you see the first text. Whereas in text 13, Prithu Maharaj is going to punish the earth, and which is this, which says, Durdas tejase vagnir, Mahindra iva durjaya, titikshaya dharitriva dvair, iva bhishte do nrunam. Maharaj Prathu was extremely strong and powerful, and that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so powerful. He was so strong that he was even compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is inseparable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. Maharaj Prithu Maharaj, though tolerant like Mother Earth, but here he is going to attack Mother Earth. He is exhibiting intolerance when it comes to protect the citizens, even to the extent of attacking Earth, Mother Earth, who is the symbol of tolerance. Why is he doing that? So, one of the lessons that we can learn is that tolerance and intolerance should be exhibited based on how it is going to affect the people. If the tolerance is making people suffer, then that is violence. Gopitaya Jagat Shrestha Kala Sve Sve Chuyutatmaka Manovag Pratibhi Saumyai Gunai Samranjayan Praja. Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words. Mentality, works, and gentle behavior. The word Achyutyatmaka is significant in this verse is because of the fact that Maharaj Prithu used to rule this planet as a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he basically was nothing but he was trying to represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because anyway he was the Satyavish avatar of the Lord. He knew that he was the representative of the Lord, and the Lord's creation must be protected intelligently. This was what he was pretty clear about. Atheists cannot understand the purpose behind the creation. Although this material world is condemned when it is compared to the spiritual world, there is still some purpose behind it. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand the purpose. Nor do they believe in the existence of a creator, which is what we know. I mean, people who believe in the existence of a creator, they lead a completely different life to people who don't believe in the existence of a creator. They try to establish everything by the so-called scientific research. Everything they want by logic, by science today, and not by faith or whatever that we go about. And they do not center anything around the Supreme Creator. Everything is created around science, logic, nothing more. Whereas devotees, they can understand the purpose of creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entity who want to lord it over material nature. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. This is what we know. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in the sense enjoyment, but additionally what he has to do is to ensure that after that he can elevate them to the spiritual consciousness level, and so that they can all return home back to Godhead. If the head of the government is saintly, certainly the citizens become saintly. And they are also very happy because both their spiritual needs and the hankerings are satisfied. This you can also see in the same canto in chapter 965. So, chapter 17 and 18 is basically where, Prithu Maharaj satisfied their spiritual needs, and in 21, Prithu Maharaj, in chapter 21, we will see further, he will give instructions to citizens to how to advance in their spiritual journey. So, we know that the material world is a miserable place, which as devotees we know, having read the Gita and all that. So, but this should not be used by the head of the government to not discharge his responsibilities. So, there is something called as, there are other causes that what we call as the Gaia hypothesis. This is something which, has been, you can have a look. They believe that ultimately Earth is a conscious entity. They also say that Earth responds according to how we deal with Earth. It is not just some kind of an inanimate object, but the Earth is a person with emotions, and that is the way she reacts. And it says that Earth responds how we deal with the Earth. It is not that, if you read kindly with the Earth, then you get the kind response. But if you respond to Earth in a very negative way, the way we do right now, exploit, as well as get away from spiritual, aspects, then the Earth, Bhumi, also reacts in the same manner. So, and a lot of people, they keep saying that there is not enough in the earth, on the earth to feed the people because we are overpopulated. That is what, it's been, a lot of arguments come in whenever people talk of hunger, famine and all that. If you actually see, if you look at statistics in terms of living space, the world is, as a whole, is far from being crowded. A simple calculation shows that every man, woman, and child, about we have 6 billion in total, could be placed within the 210,000 or and 38 square miles of France, with each person having about 975 square feet of space. That kind of, if you look at just looking at France. And what about food? A study by the University of California's Division of Agricultural Science shows that practicing the best agriculture methods now in use, the world's farmers could raise enough food to provide a meat-centered diet for a population 10 times greater than the present one. So even if you're 60 billion, for a meat, eating kind of population, 10 times more than that can be provided. But that's not the limit. If people would be satisfied with an equally nourishing but mostly vegetarian diet that we have, prasadam, a population 30 times greater than the current one could be fed, the study shows. So, and as we have shown also in the previous chapter, a switch to a vegetarian diet would also bring many environmental improvements, less restriction of rain for forests, as well as a decline in air and water pollution, to name a few. So these are some of the things in case if you even switch to completely a vegetarian diet. So in the early 1970s, there was some famine in sub-Saharan Africa. But studies have shown that every country affected also had within its own borders sufficient agricultural resources to feed its own people. And as Frances Moore Lappy points out in a well-researched book, that she has written, Food First, much of the best land was being misused for production of cash export crops. So it was not that, people were, specific countries, what they do is instead of trying to ensure that normal grains are grown, they will also only try to grow certain cash crops which will earn money for the country. So, if Prabhupada, as a matter of fact, during a visit to Mauritius in October 1975, where he had given a lecture attended by some of the nation's leading citizens, he said that, so I see in your Mauritius island you have got enough land to produce food grains. But he then challenged, I understand that instead of growing food grains, you're growing sugar cane for exporting. Why? You first of all grow your own eatables, and if there is time and if your population has sufficient food grains, then you can try to grow other fruits and vegetables for exporting. He went on to say that I've traveled all over the world, to Africa, Australia, America, and everywhere. There's so much land vacant that if we use it to produce food grains, then we can feed 10 times as much population as at the present moment. So there's no question of scarcity. The whole creation is so made by Krishna that everything is Purnam, complete. So, another wasteful use of food resources has to do with the diet. Srila Prabhupada said during his lecture in Mauritius, I've seen in the Western countries that they're growing food grains for the animals, and the food grains are eaten by the animals, and the animal is eaten by the man. The animals are eating fruit grains, but the same amount of fruit grains can be eaten by so many men. What are the statistics? So we gave some of these statistics in the previous chapter. To reiterate, about 90% of the edible grain harvested in the US is fed to animals that are later killed for meat production. So look at how this is happening. And for every 16 pounds of grain fed to beef cattle, only 1 pound of meat is obtained in return. So look at the productivity also if you look at how things go. The same wasteful use of grain to fatten the cattle for meat is commonplace in Western Europe, in Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. So Srila Prabhupada conclude that if there were one government on the surface of the earth to handle the distribution of grain, there will be no question of scarcity, no necessity to open slaughterhouses, and no need to present false theories about overpopulation. And the first person, who actually sounded this alarm about overpopulation was this great scholar called Malthus. I don't know if you know about this Malthus theory. He says that the world's population tends to increase more faster than the population, the food supply, according to him. And Malthus believed that the best solution was voluntary restraint in sex. That is the justification he gave. And he said, why should we bother about overpopulation? Overpopulation is the primary justification for abortion, according to him. So, people say that voluntary restraint is unnatural. Krishna consciousness does not offer unnatural suppression of desires. Rather, the society offers unnatural agitation of desires by a provocative culture. So, all the species have copulation in the particular season and they have reproduction, but only humans unite at any time and they try to separate reproduction from copulation. So, even in traditional society in villages, the mind is not agitated, but when we come to the city, we become agitated. So, the problem is not actually with overpopulation, but with mismanagement. So, here, Prithu basically sets an example here, and he firstly, of course, empathizes with the population and also ensures that there's equitable distribution of resources to the population so that everybody gets the food. It's not that just one place is where there is abundance of food, maybe like the US or in Western countries, and then you have places like Africa and other places where there is famine. This is basically a created by the, how do I say, the world population or the leaders who have tried to hoard whatever grains that they have to themselves and ensure that certain class of people remain hungry. Whereas King Prithu here, on the other hand, has set an example wherein, firstly, of course, he's trying to understand the problems that are existing and why people are hungry, and then he's trying to bring in certain aspects and try to see if he can find a solution so that everybody is not hungry, everybody at least has enough food to eat. And the way he does is he finds out that the root cause of the problem. He goes to the root cause, trying to find where the problem is, and he then finds out that this is because Mother Earth here has deliberately tried to ensure that the grains are not produced. So he therefore becomes angry at Mother Earth. On one hand, if you see, there is one incarnation or the Leela of Krishna is Lord Varaha, who tried to who saved the Mother Earth. And here on the same side, opposite side, if you see, he is trying to come in a different form and he is trying to now attack Mother Earth. So these are two completely opposite reactions from the same Lord, wherein he is firstly protecting the Mother Earth and here he is trying to become angry and trying to destroy the Mother Earth. And here they have taken an analogy of Lord Shiva, who basically, is the cause of all destructions. And he therefore becomes so angry there enough to, and that kind of anger is what Prithu came out with, is what has been, told here in this particular verse. So, going further, what does this particular, the total two verses, what we can learn from it? It basically talks about leadership, it talks about environmental stewardship and spiritual governance. So, King Prithu, seeing the suffering of his citizens due to food scarcity, as I mentioned, investigated the root cause, and having discovered that Mother Earth was withholding bounty, his righteous anger and decisive action, it demonstrates the proper role that leadership can bring in. So, this narrative also connects to Lord Krishna's teaching in the Bhagavad Gita regarding dharmic leadership, compassion and protection of citizens, and the proper relationship between humanity and the earth, So, we will therefore, as you see that Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, similarly Lord Achyuta, the supreme among devotees, and Lord Shambhu, the greatest of Vaishnavas. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see, is the greatest of all Puranas. And that's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also emphasized the Bhagavatam's unique position. And he said that it's the Srimad Bhagavatam which was explained by Sri Sutta Goswami before 60,000 sages at Naimisharanya. If you have visited there in India, the famous holy place, that this is the most highest how do I say, knowledge that we have, and we therefore need to ensure how much we can gain from this. And Prithu Maharaj, as I said here, is trying to therefore set this example, which is there in the Bhagavatam, which we can even use today in the current time, you know. And he was not an, as we know, ordinary king, you know, but as a representative of the Lord, he found that the people were not at fault and they were working diligently. And these are certain things, you know, which today's leaders have to learn, how to find, as I said, where the root causes, and how one can go to the root of the problem rather than look at superficial aspects of whatever problems that are there, and try to see how they can escape by not solving the root causes. And if we connect this to the Bhagavad Gita, you know, if you see what is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 4.7 and 8 is that a leader must act decisively when dharma is threatened. And that is what even King Prithu did. Whenever, and of course you know that, you know, one of the statements mentioned is whenever and wherever there is a decline in irreligious practice or descendant of Bharata and predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants as well as re-establish the principle of religion. He appears millennium after millennium. And here, as Saktavesh avatar, Prithu, why did he come? Because King Vana, of course, had, you know, his father had started doing all kinds of atrocities. And here it was important that the Brahmanas therefore came, firstly destroyed Vana and then ensured that Prithu is made king. So all the aspects in terms of the irreligion which had come down, which now led to Mother Earth holding back the grains, is what, you know, when we'll know it in the further chapters, that when Prithu went and tried to kill or at least scare Mother Earth, she immediately responded saying that, look, this is why I did this, is because of the fact that there is a sense of irreligion that has happened, and people, or at least the environment that was created by King Venu, was the reason for her holding the grains. It was not that she wanted to do it, but this is the command which is given by the Lord, that in case something happens wherein nature is challenged, or we do certain things which we also see today, wherein famine happening and all that, there is a cause that the spirituality around the world has reduced completely. People are not working or moving towards doing things which will please Krishna. We are doing things against only for the sense gratification and not trying to ensure that Krishna is made happy. And in that is the consequences of which is what happened also in the rule of Prithu, where in spite of the fact that everything was being done to ensure that religion is re-established, it was Prithu who was therefore now entrusted with the responsibility to ensure that this happens. And therefore he then flattened the earth and went directly to Mother Earth and threatened her and said that, look, you can say whatever you want, but now I know that religion has been established, so now please release all that is required for the people not to remain hungry. So that is what here, this is what has been told, and that King Prithu acted as the Lord's representative to restore first the cosmic order. His confrontation with Mother Earth is not about exploitation, but about proper reciprocal relationships. The king provides protection and proper governance. In return, the earth provides abundance for all living entities. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna emphasizes the importance of leaders performing their dharmic duties without attachments and results, as stated in chapter 3, verse 2, which is Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tat evataro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. So what this particular verse mentions, if you know the meaning, is whatever a great man performs, common man follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So this is something even Krishna has said, that anybody great, whatever that he does, the common man will follow, and whatever standards he set, so he has to set things by his own example, and which King Prithu did. Just because King Prithu did that, the common citizens also followed his process and ensure that they also follow a spiritual path. If you have leaders who don't believe in all of these things, then you will not have the citizens following that. So firstly, as a leader, you will have to demonstrate and set an example for all the citizens to follow, and that is what Krishna also has mentioned. Prithu never acted out of self-interest, and he acted also the welfare of his citizens. Further, if you see, Krishna emphasizes in the Gita the principles of complete surrender, which is sarva dharman parityajya mam imam saranam raja aham tvam papebhyo mokshayam mam sucha. So, surrender unto me completely, and then let me take the delivery of all your sinful reactions. So do not fear. This is something which we have to also try to do it in our day-to-day life. It's one easy thing to say that please surrender, but what is that mode of surrender that we are looking at? Is it as easy as saying that, okay, I close my eyes and say, Krishna, I surrender? Surrender is much more than that, according to me. It is your ability to release your mind completely, and in spite of all the challenges around you, be able to have faith in Krishna, which easier said than done is what I would say. A lot of times in your life you face so many challenges, and then you feel that there is nobody around you to really protect you. Of course, you deep within your heart you are trying to reach Krishna, but still, as human nature, since our senses are so limited, we really are not, at least from a personal experience, I could say that I'm really sometimes get so bewildered that I feel, I sometimes have doubts, will Krishna really help me here? Rather than looking at the other aspect of if you can see it in a different perspective and say that maybe Krishna is having me experience these certain challenges for a purpose, so that I can come closer to him more. It's possible that you will, if you're working, you may suddenly lose your job for whatever reasons, and then you have enough time there to take this particular opportunity to see how you can use this time productively to be able to serve Krishna. So Krishna has brought in this particular challenge in your life so that you use that time to engage yourself more for Krishna. If you can look at it that way, rather than say that, oh, I'm now going through this major challenge, will Krishna help me now? And start losing your faith in Krishna, that is where Maya has suddenly driven into your mind. You should have your mental strength, therefore, to still hold on to your to the process that you're following, and to hold on to the thoughts that you have, to try to see if you can keep that away and still perform all the duties that are required in your journey towards Krishna consciousness. And by these are just verses which when you keep on reading again and again and again, the more stronger you can become mentally to be able to follow in this in your journey. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's teachings on service and responsibility provide valuable insights for understanding King Prithu's actions. In one of the discourses, he mentioned that to transform the adversaries of the jivas is the supreme duty of the most merciful. To rescue one person from the stronghold of Maya is an act of superb benevolence far superior to opening innumerable hospitals. So instead of trying to open too many hospitals to ensure that physically people are healthy, which is of course also important, if you can just try to see how you can engage or bring people into Krishna consciousness like all the Prabhuji does by doing Sankirtan or distributing books, to give them at least a hope that maybe just by listening to that through the Sankirtan, something triggers in their mind, in their heart, which makes them, okay, look at a Bhagavad Gita and try to explore something more. This seed of, how do I say, bhakti, which is there in everybody's heart, if we look at our own journey itself, the initial years, we were not aware of it. More for people in the Western world, if you see, none of them were exposed to this. But somewhere along the way, somebody did something, or you listened to a kirtan, or you had prasadam, and then were inquisitive and started maybe reading something, and you could correlate to some incident in your life which must have been a major low, which made you look for that, and that curiosity made you then come into this journey. So this is what is more important, and this is what Prithu Maharaj, if you look at it as an example in those days, that firstly his immediate need was to ensure that people don't remain hungry. That was the physical aspects of it, but the most important aspect was to see how they can progress in their spiritual journey, to create an environment for them to be able to follow that, because that will give them more satisfaction than the hunger. Hunger is just a physical aspect which they will have to follow. So this is what he did, which is to address the fundamental spiritual imbalance causing suffering in his kingdom. Just as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur emphasized, looking beyond material welfare to spiritual transformation, King Prithu sought not just to feed his subjects, but to restore proper cosmic harmony. Also in another profound statement, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also declared that possession of objects not related to Krishna is our main malady. So this is the biggest problem, that we have objects which are not related to Krishna. Let us have all these objects, even if we have a mobile phone, if we have certain other things, they should be in a way try to be used in Krishna's service. Otherwise they will affect you in a negative way. So this is also certain things that we need to learn. So this also connects to Mother Earth's withholding of the bounty. When resources are not used in the service of the Supreme Lord, nature itself may revolt. This is what Mother Earth also did. So King Prithu's confrontation with Earth was ultimately about restoring the proper relationship between humans, nature and the divine. This is the underlying aspect of this particular verse, that how King Prithu connected the human beings, of course the nature which is Bhumi, and the divine which is within themselves, what they can really do. And if you look at the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, compassionate leadership is demonstrated by King Prithu. They align beautifully also with Lord Chaitanya's teachings on compassion and spiritual governance. We find numerous examples of how spiritual principles should govern material actions. In Madhya Leela, Lord Chaitanya explains the Atmarama verse from Srimad Bhagavatam in 61 different ways, demonstrating the inexhaustible depth of the Bhagavatam's wisdom. Just as King Prithu penetrated beyond surface appearances to find the root cause of his kingdom's suffering, Lord Chaitanya also revealed the profound layers of meaning within the scriptures. And in one of the specific relevant verses, that according to the karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the universe. And some of them are being taken to the upper planetary system, some are going down in the lower planetary systems. But out of the many millions of wandering entities, one who is very fortunate, he gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna, which we are, among us. We should be considered ourselves really fortunate that in some way we are now connected to a bona fide spiritual master. And this is that Bhakti Bija, or whatever they call it, the seed of Bhakti, which has been therefore put in by our spiritual master into us, which will then grow multifold to therefore give you that particular, how do I say, position of bliss for you, and then of course help you in your journey. what is, what did, based on Prutu's reaction, what did Mother Earth actually, what she did, She said that, my dear Lord, you're the complete conductor of the material creation. You have created this cosmic manifestation and the three material qualities, the three modes of, that we know, and therefore you have created me. So you yourself have created me, the planet Earth, the resting place of all living entities. You are always fully independent, my Lord. And she says that, what should I do now? Only way what I can do is I can take shelter to you. What I did was under your instructions. So please don't try to kill me here or try to destroy me. I did it based on the instructions given by you because of the presence of religion. And now, based on your instructions, I will take my next steps. And this is something which, the Vedic perspective, therefore, this offers us a very, how do I say, a framework, we call it, revolutionary framework for understanding our relationship with the natural worlds. One based on reciprocity, which means respect, and recognition of the divine presence in all aspects of creation. So if we can look at whatever that we do, again, which is a very difficult aspect to do, that sometimes what happens is that we have certain strong emotions on people from different countries, even within our own circle. These emotions then cloud our thoughts. And the fact that, Krishna has mentioned that please consider everybody equal, we as human beings are not able to do that. And that creates strong emotions within us, which acts as obstacles in our bhakti. And that you can immediately reflect if you see it affects our chanting also. So in case if you have had a fight with somebody, immediately, and then you start to chant, the focus is not on the chanting, it is there on the fight that you have had. And that's why, if somebody says that please look at everybody in an equal way, is basically to curb your emotions. Because with some you will have extreme love, with some you will have extreme hate, and these two emotions then create their own effect and acts as obstacles in your connection to Krishna. In simple ways, like, as you said, when you chant, if your mind is completely agitated, then when you chant, you will not be able to focus on the chanting. And then the whole essence of the chanting is lost on that day. And slowly, if you can, it's not again easy. The younger you are, the more difficult it is. Even the younger you are, the more difficult it is because you don't have the experience. Therefore, when you have strong emotions, the emotions take over the actual instincts. And when you're older, because you're so used to a particular way of living, then again you're not able to change your mindset. Can you find the right balance between both of this is what one should think about. And that is what comes here, And what are the practical, how do I say, guidance for devotees in today's world is, let us first, when we invest in our relationship with Krishna, what are the different points that we need to consider? First is, let us investigate the root causes of problems rather than accepting superficial explanations. So, like Prithu Maharaj went and found out the root cause of grains not being grown or people not, being able to satisfy their hunger, we ourselves in our own life, for certain incidents, we should look at the root cause. And then once we find this root cause, then we will be able to slowly move forward in our journey. Just don't look at it in a superficial way. Also, you should recognize that material scarcity is often because there are spiritual causes for it. It is not just, scientific reasons is one aspect of it, but there are also spiritual causes why certain material scarcity happens, which is lack of food grains, famine, or, hunger that happens throughout the world. And we should also approach Mother Earth like a mother and its resources with reverence and gratitude. So always when we try to take something from Mother Earth, please treat it in such a way that, you are doing it with respect and gratitude, that you should be thankful and not try to, in a way, cause certain environmental damage or do things without knowing which will affect Mother Earth. in our own small way, let us try to contribute to this. Today we have all this environmental causes, green revolution, things like that. But in our Vedic times itself, all of this has been taught to us, that how we treat cow with respect. And therefore, Mother Earth became a cow because we take so much from cow. Milk, cow dung, everything that you take from the cow is always beneficial to you. And however, what happens is that you end up killing a cow to eat, which is not what is required here. And that causes the spiritual, how do I say, lack of spiritual aspects, which causes nature to therefore revolt and cause these things. Also, use all resources we need to use in the service of Krishna rather than for selfish enjoyment. So try to see if, again, can you use these resources in Krishna's service? How you can structure all the things that you do towards Krishna. The more you try to do that, the more you will be able to see the connection and the reactions or things happening to you, that Krishna has a hand in this. The more you go away from that, the more you will get into Maya. Also, you have to exercise leadership responsibilities, whether within the family, work, or community, with both strength and compassion. So we ourselves have to become leaders. Nobody will try to tell you to do this or that. You have to own that responsibility. Do things. Like various devotees themselves here have taken up certain activities. Nobody must have been taught first time. After that, they know that yes, they have to do it. In case something happens, still they will have to find a way to solve those problems. Rather than say that, no, this didn't happen, so I won't do it. Try to take this ownership. That is leadership. That is what we need to learn from Prabhu. Therefore, understanding is that fact that protecting those under our care is it's our sacred duty. So whenever there's somebody within us under our care, see how you can guide them by setting your own example in your spiritual journey. Then they will also come to you. If you, on one hand, quote the Bhagavad Gita, quote these aspects, like me here, sitting here, will quote all of this. But when I get out of this and try to behave in a different way, people will firstly point fingers at me and say, look, here is on one hand, he is talking all this, but on his own, he is doing something different. That is something we need to avoid. So once you are in this position wherein you have spoken something, try to see if you can justify it by following it as far as possible. You have to finally recognize that proper spiritual alignment creates material abundance. So this is what is important in summing up, is that the more you are spiritually aligned, automatically the material abundance will happen around, and still it will not affect you. So it's in a way, a vicious circle if you look at it. On one hand, you say that, okay, if you want material abundance, you have to become more spiritual. But the more material abundance means that there is a tendency of this material modes created by Krishna itself affecting you in such a way to take you away from spirituality. So can you find the right balance is what one should understand. So summing up, if you look at both these verses, firstly, of course, Prithu, taking the next step to empathize with the people, understanding the lamentation of the people, their hunger, and then trying to find the root cause of their problems, and ensuring that root cause, which was Mother Earth here, though he becomes angry with her, but he's showing that intolerance towards her just to ensure that the citizens of the country benefit. So whatever that you do in your life, wherein you become angry for a just cause, to able to protect somebody and then ensure that they are enabled in their spiritual journey, is a justified anger. So you definitely need to get angry for that. And take the example of King Prithu to see how you can use that by reading more and more. When you read about Prithu, though of course he was a great king, he was Krishna in a way, part avatar of Krishna, but still whatever that he has demonstrated is again relevant today. That is what we need to understand and see if we can practice that. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? Please let me know. If not, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.